We're just supposed to let anyone do whatever they want, and that's fine. It's not fine. What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of Faith and Failures. You can check out all of our detailed information as well as blogs, how to give, every episode I put out every week at faithandfailures.com. We also have a Facebook group that has just passed over 500 members. I wanted to say a deep-hearted thank you for joining, sharing, liking, encouraging others to be a part of the community. It means so much to me when I started this at the beginning of this year to now see that over 500 people are involved in this. Just blows my mind. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different than normal. Usually I have somebody on this platform that I let them share their story. This whole podcast, the vision is to let people share their stories, interviews, ministers, writers, all different people from all walks of life. But this week's episode, I wanted to touch on something a little bit different because something came out on Netflix, and I'm sure you've already heard about it. You've already seen it. It is a perversion, and it is pedophilia is all that it is, to be blunt. And it really, really irritates me that this has become okay, that people thought that they could put this out of little girls twerking and stuff, doing lesbian scenes and things like that, mocking something they saw on a dance video. And it's just an abomination to even, what were they thinking to even have the mindset to put all the work into it that it takes to come out with a film, and to think that that is okay, and to think that no one's going to say anything. And I wanted to speak a little bit today in this week, and I wanted to challenge you, whether you know God or whether you don't. This podcast was built, designed, and structured for people who know God and people who don't care about God. Because whether you know God, whether you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, whether you've never heard or known God, never darkened the doors of a church, we all go through things. And so this podcast was directly designed and birthed from the posture of we all have issues, we all struggle with things. And I feel that we have, from my perspective, as people who say they believe in God, we stand up for Christianity, and then this stuff comes out, and they didn't expect anything. I'm going to read you something from thehill.com, and it says Netflix is defending its French film. If you didn't know, it's not in English. If you watch the little trailer thing, it has subtitles where you can actually read in English what it is. But it says this French film, Cuties, after considerable backlash on social media, arguing it is a social commentary against... Now, listen to this. This is the mindset of the far left. I'm not trying to get political, but it's facts. That this is directly speaking against against the sexualization of young children. This is a movie against that, where they say that you can dress like this, you can act like this as children, 11-year-olds, and this is supposed to be empowering to women. There is a song that has come out by Cardi B, and not to be rude or blunt, but that's kind of my personality, and I feel like I've restrained that a little too much, because evil needs to be spoken out against of. And as Christians, this should not be okay in any caliber. And if you have any convictions at all, you should really question whether you have Netflix still or not, whether they take the movie back off or not. Then you have Cardi B coming out, who is a trash of a artist. The way, the songs, the lyrics that she degrades women, and then people writing pieces about how empowering it is to women, it's trash. Talking about wet AP. If you don't know what that means, look it up. I'm not saying it on my podcast. But this whole generation of I can say anything or act any way I want, and you just need to accept me for how I am is trash. That I can be anything I want to be. I can change my gender if I'm feeling a certain way. Or celebrities, a little 9-year-old saying that they can that their little child going to dress them in girl clothes that they identify as a girl. They haven't even hit puberty. They have no clue what they are yet, besides what they see, and it's a twist of the truth, and is it a straight demonic oppression that we have allowed to get to this point to where we have not spoken up. And if I sound a little harsh or passionate, it's because this kind of stuff ticks me off. And if you didn't know, the little, I don't know what they're called, little doll things, they look like little trolls. They may be troll, I don't know. The thing where you put them in certain, I think maybe cold water or something like that, has like bondage gear on and stuff. What in the world is going on? How in the world are people getting away in factories, mass produced? Someone had to design it. They had to sit down with a think tank and come up with this stuff to be able to design it to where it works. The science behind where you put it in water and it happens, and it reveals undergarments that should not be on anything that a child has in their hand. And we have become, in the church or in this nation and in this world, so desensitized. We don't hold anything of value anymore. We don't hold anything dear. And things don't have the importance that they used to. We just let things slide. We're just supposed to let anyone do whatever they want, and that's fine. It's not fine. We are called, as from my perspective, as Christians, to love people. That does not mean condone what they're doing. And so it says right here, Cuties is a social commentary against the sexualization of young children. False. So let me ask you this. Of all that's going on right now with the riots and the protesting and all that stuff, so if I'm trying to make things where it's not racist anymore, am I going to start shooting people the opposite color of me? Does that make sense to anybody who's listening or watching on YouTube? Doesn't make any sense, does it? There's no logic behind that truth. It's false. So how in the world are kids almost naked? And some of the reviews I heard that there is a girl that has her top off. That's child nudity. That is grooming children for a next level of things that are okay that should not be okay. And so in the show notes below, I've already signed the petition, but I'm going to put the link to where you can sign a petition. And from the numbers so far, over 200,000 people were just signed on this petition. I've already shared it on Facebook. I've put it on my Faith and Failures fan page, and I also shared it to the Faith and Failures group. Feel free to go and join. Whether you know God or whether you don't, it's a safe space where you can ask questions. So make sure you stop by there and request to be allowed in the group. Against the sexualization of young children. Lie. The truth is being so twisted, and they can't even see how stupid that is. A Netflix spokesperson said on Friday in a statement, as the cancel Netflix. By the way, y'all doing great on Twitter. If you want, follow me on Twitter at Stephen Tillman. I'll put a link in the description below. But cancel Netflix is number one right now on the trending hashtag. That's amazing. People are finally being outspoken about something that is wrong. Critics have argued that the film sexualizes children, which it does. Netflix issued an apology last month for promotional material for Cuties, saying it was deeply sorry for the inappropriate artwork, which it said was not representative of the film. Apex World News on Twitter says, accused of sexualizing children, Netflix has removed a promotional poster which showed young girls posing in revealing outfits in a new film called Cuties. In a statement, the Netflix said it was deeply sorry for the inappropriate artwork, which that artwork is not even the artwork that I saw that was so inappropriate. Like they were humping the floor, laying down on the ground, humping the floor. It says, and I'm still on thehill.com, it's an award-winning film and a powerful story about the pressure young girls face on social media and from society more generally growing up. And we'd encourage anyone who cares about these important issues to watch the movie, the spokesperson said. What a disgusting, perverted mindset. This angers me so much. Who in their right mind could justify letting their own child watch something like this? Tim Pool, which he has a podcast and he's also on YouTube. You should check him out. He's a conservative. He has a lot of important people on there. It's a very nice podcast to listen to. Or if you want to watch something on YouTube, he puts about 20 minutes, little segments. It's at Timcast. So he said, "Whoa, cancel Netflix is currently trending #1 in the U.S." On the trailer on YouTube, and this was there's not a time on. Oh yeah, September 10th. So a couple days ago, at the time of recording this, it says 1.6 million dislikes on the Cuties trailer. There's 39,000 likes. Everybody hates it except for the 39,000 woke sickos who think this is art. Liz _Wheeler on Twitter says this: if you watch 11-year-olds twerk, you're a creep. If you taught 11-year-olds how to touch themselves on camera, you're abominable. If you defend Netflix airing this child porn, you're enabling abuse. So this whole film that is art, that is, if you don't know, there's been a movement for a while in TED Talks and stuff that have been pushing towards pedophelia as being some sort of sexual orientation or preference. We cannot allow this crap to be pushed on us and the generation to come. Kids have to go through enough hitting puberty and being confused about all the hormones going everywhere and feeling crazy and don't know up from down and east to west. And then they're having to deal with all this thrown in their face too. I'm speechless on how in the world this can be viewed as okay. It makes zero sense to me. The film began streaming on September 9th, delivering an 88%. This is how confused and twisted people in the far left and Hollywood are. 88% approval rate, positive rating. 88%. That is a high percentage that said this from film critics, that said this was going to be the next big thing. But just 3% positive audience score, according to Rotten Tomatoes website. 3%. This is disgusting. There is no way that us as parents or any moral human being should allow this kind of junk anywhere. The people that created this, that advocated for it, the critics that approved it, should be locked up and the key should be thrown away. That sounds pretty harsh, but my wife would probably say to castrate them. There is no way, if you have any sort of semblance of respect for human life and morality, you cannot approve this. So I'm going to link below a link directly to the petition that I signed. You put your name on there, you put your email, and this is just ridiculous. This shouldn't even have to be a podcast. This should not even have to be a video on YouTube. People talking about it. And just disgust me that these people think that it's okay. That they think that this kind of outlook or mindset is right and is fine. People of integrity, people of moral value, we have stood silent. We have sat silent long enough. And if you feel the same way, and if you're probably not hearing this for the first time through the podcast, maybe you are, maybe you're not, I don't know. But if you have seen this, it should have made you angry. It should have made you go and check your Netflix stuff. And I feel like I want to open up a little bit. This is not gonna be a long episode at all, but I want to talk to you a little bit. I made some notes when I first felt this, when I first heard all this stuff. I quickly jotted down some notes. So this is how I felt when my wife and I saw this pop up, and we saw it on our Facebook feed. My first response when she said I'm deleting Facebook or not deleting Facebook, sorry, deleting Netflix, my first response, and I'm just being real with y'all. You guys have been listening. I've been pretty open in my episode about my personal life and where I came from and where I am now. I really did not want to delete Netflix. And what I really began to think about in my own mind was all the stuff I was going to miss out on. And then I started checking myself. Like, why am I so sad about losing Netflix? Well, because Netflix has become a big part of. I watch like Agents of Shield when I work out. Jessie likes to watch this show NCIS. You know, she likes the mystery. There's other crime shows and stuff we like watching, and it's all on Netflix. Netflix has become like, well, she'll just turn it on and she'll put a documentary on or something. And she'll go to the kitchen and we will, just have noise going on in our everyday life. And something really kind of, I don't know how to explain it. Something kind of gripped me, I guess, and was like, well, why is it so important to you? Like, if this Cuties thing is such a big deal and it's so wrong, why are you holding on to the people who made it? And so I was like, okay, so this is like a church term. I don't know if you know church terms, but this is a church term. I felt convicted, and conviction is a good thing. It keeps your body, your mind, your spirit in check. And from this conviction, it really got me thinking on a deeper level of why Netflix. Why is this thing, Cuties, why am I now wanting to delete Netflix? And so the reason I'm asking that question is because if you've been on Netflix for a period of time, you know that they had, maybe, I don't remember what season it was. It may have been last year's Christmas, but they put out, it was either a movie or a series with a gay Jesus. And I never saw it. I don't even know if it ever even popped up on my the Netflix suggestion type deal or whatever. But as a Christian, and I'm just being real with y'all, and as a minister, I feel like I have let certain things in my life slide that I should not have let slide. And so as I complain about the things that are happening and that are taking form in our society, and how can this be happening in a God-filled country? I got convicted because I'm letting it slide in my personal life. So if I'm letting it slide, then how can I complain about everyone else or be upset with anybody else when I'm also the problem? And so I really feel like through this, God has really opened up a new avenue where He can do some more work on me. Because I feel like as a Christian, or of anyone who has a moral belief or a moral standard in any way, I feel like sometimes we allow things to not be corrected because of convenience. And we allow, whether you believe in God or whether you don't, we allow our convictions to move to the side for convenience. Our convictions, our passions, our families, our jobs, all become blurry, and we don't even remember we don't even remember why we set out to do what we were going to do in the first place, or we don't remember who we are anymore because we get so filled with all this other stuff that in the grand scheme of things doesn't even matter. Netflix doesn't really matter, but it's like you don't really question things in your life until the ground shakes beneath you and it starts to crumble. It's like if you were in a house, okay, your home, your apartment, wherever you live, and a fire broke out, an uncontrollable fire, and you had no time to plan. It was just all of a sudden the fire broke out. You had to grab things that meant something to you. Like, what do you grab? Okay, well, without counting people, like your children or your wife or your husband, whatever, or your animals. Let's say all of them, get out well. Well, then you have to start deciding, like, very quickly, what is it that really matters? What is it that counts the most? And I feel like sometimes we watch our world burn around us and we're not grabbing what really matters the most. We're letting all these other things fill our hands until we can't carry anything else. And for me, it seems that Netflix was one of those things that was filling my hands. And I joked with my wife because she likes watching series. She hates the ones that like are cliffhangers, and she's like, "Oh, now I got to watch the next one." She don't like that, but she likes where it has a beginning and it has an end, and it wraps it up within that episode. They're chasing a bad guy, and then they catch him, and so that's really enjoyable to her. I joked with her before, and I said, because she'd always have her phone on Netflix and watching something. She'd be working and sitting at the kitchen table typing or something. She'd have a little ear thing in. She'd be about to go to sleep, and she's watching it. She's brushing her teeth in the morning. She's watching it. And I'm saying this in jest, but really, I said it to her in a joking way, but I kind of wasn't, not realizing that I had the same problem too. I said, "Baby, are you addicted to that?" And she's like, "What do you mean?" No, she got defensive. I would have too. I got defensive in my own head when my wife said we needed to cancel Netflix. I was I was the guilty one. And all this has made me kind of question, what am I holding things that I say are really important when really they're not? Am I wasting time on things? Even when I'm working, when I work from home a lot, I'm self-employed. Everything I do is tax-wise self-employed. I have multiple businesses and do several jobs, including jobs at my church. And I've had, and this whole situation has really made me question what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and what I can do to do it better. Another reference or another recommendation to another podcast. If you like listening to podcasts, I've just started recently listening to Craig Groeschel, and he's a pastor, but his podcast is leadership podcast. Look it up. And he's been talking about making things simple and keeping things where it's a simple in organizations, in business, in family, in church. You get these layers. The more successful you become, the more complicated things get. And so I've been thinking, why do I feel like I never stop working? If I'm not doing something in photography, I'm a real estate photographer. If I'm not doing something at the church, if I'm not doing something with the podcast, I'm doing something on YouTube for the church, doing something for YouTube for me, teaching on YouTube. Then I'm also doing the podcast and then putting them on YouTube. And then I have another podcast. And then I have my online store. And so I'm fulfilling orders, emailing people back, and I never have time to breathe. I never have time to study the Word. I never have time to do a real devotion besides when I'm going to bed at night. And I have all these things filling up my schedule. I get caught up watching something on YouTube, or get caught up watching interviews, or listen to other people's podcasts, or watching Netflix, and because it'll get really interesting, and then I get caught up in it, and then an hours went by, 2 hours went by, and I just completely zoned out in this TV show. And so that leads me to my next little point, is that obviously, right now with the recording of this, today was supposed to be the release date of another episode. And I really wanted to talk about this topic, but it seems like every time I talk to somebody about interviewing, they always need to change the dates and all this other stuff. And I have some great interviews lined up, but the dates aren't lining up to when I put one out every week. And so I'm probably going to release this Friday whenever I get time to edit it. But God didn't put this passion in me for this podcast for it to be a job. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a step back. I'm breathing a little bit. And I'm going to stop trying to fill every hour of work. And I'm going to really try to make the time that I have with my family, with my son, with my wife, to really count, so that I'm not always doing something somewhere else. I spend a lot of time in my office. I spend a lot of time, even when my kid's home from school, like right now, I'm doing this podcast and he's home from school. I spend a lot of time doing other things besides enjoying the people that God has given me. And so leading up to this, I'm going to start doing the podcast once a month. And my goal is to do it the first Monday of every month. And if that doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. There shouldn't be a reason why it couldn't. But every week, it's like I'm killing myself trying to make this podcast work and to keep up with the people who want to be interviewed or who I'm chasing after to be interviewed. We have some great people on the podcast. There's a comedian, I think his name is Brad Stein. He messaged me about being on the podcast. There's another guy who is almost an active shooter, and something changed, and he gave his life to God. So that's another person. But all of it takes time. It takes scheduling. It takes hours of trying to reach out to people, wait for their response. So all these, it keeps taking days and days, and it gets pushed back and pushed back. I got a person from Israel that I'm going to be talking to, but their time and my time is different. So if I'm working during the day, then by the time I get home in the evening time, well, it's like 1 or 2 o'clock over there. So it's like this whole juggling system, and it'd be much better if I could just take time and do it right. So I want to give you good content, good solid content, to where when you get this once a month, you'll be looking forward to it. We can interact on the fan page and the group, and we can really get to know each other, and just kind of, I suggest in your life, like Netflix was to me. And I really got angry at this stuff, and I don't take family lightly. I don't take sexuality lightly. I believe fundamentally for myself that there is a person born a man and a woman. There's no in between. There are like 0.009% anomalies that happen sometimes, but there's still one thing or the other that they can do and the other they can't, whether they're born with both or not. But that's just a personal standpoint. I'm not speaking out against those people. Those people need Jesus just like when I did. I'm going to cite the petition below, and I really hope that you would just take a minute, go and sign it, because this is disgusting. And this is something that we cannot let slide. And I feel like if you are a Christian and you're listening to this, or you're just somebody who accidentally found this podcast, or you found it on the fan page, or that you are in the group but you don't really know who God is, I suggest to you to not let things slide in your life, because there's things that we really need to stand up on and stand firm on, and do not get pushed around by anybody, because morality is sometimes all that we have left. Like, there's a right way to do things and there's a wrong way to do things, and this Cuties thing is wrong. Netflix, you are wrong. Don't adapt your Christianity for comfort. Don't compromise for comfort. And that's kind of all I wanted to say today. I really hope you got something from today, or at least agreed with some of the things that I said. I feel strong about this, and I'm not backing down from it. I think it's sad that we have become a Christian community of compromise, and we let other people's agendas or their ideology push us around and make us feel uncomfortable, when that is the opposite characteristic of Jesus. We love, we love, we love, we love, we love, but we do not compromise. There's no room for compromise. The time for sitting around and waiting for people just to turn good is over. We have to share the love of Christ with them. That's what will change this world. That's what will change this country, is the love of Christ. Not us beating them over the head with the Bible. And that will change nobody. But you have to love them. But you love them with truth. And don't compromise the truth. But you can share the truth and still share love at the same time. They're not mutually exclusive. So before I end today's podcast, I wanted to let you know just a way to support the channel. Right now, in social distancing, and you may, we be one of those people that you don't like going to the store, that's fine. So in my podcast, I cited below in the show notes, if you follow the link that I share, there's a organization called Instacart, and it's groceries delivered in as little as 1 hour. So this right here, they give me a little slice at no extra cost to you for when you sign up. So following in the link, it will let them know that I sent you their way, and it's called affiliate marketing. They will give me a slice of the pie at no extra cost to you. Even in the show notes, I mention usually my equipment and stuff like that. You don't have to be shopping for my equipment. You can literally click on the mic that I suggest, and it'll take you to your Amazon account, and you will buy a bottle of water or a Gatorade or a bag of chips. They still give me a slice of that just for sending you to Amazon. That's how it works in affiliate marketing. It's kind of cool how it works. So at multiple stores, they have multiple stores available where you can shop all your favorites on one single order. Products you love from your local stores, hand-selected by shoppers based on your preference. Delivery to your door in as fast as an hour. Instacart highlights deals to help you save money. So not only do you get to pick out your stuff, they'll also show you deals. And find everything you usually buy and get smart suggestions. So they'll highlight deals and give you suggestions. And they pick the fresh produce and keep your eggs safe too. That's their guarantee. So that will be today's sponsor on this podcast. If you want, click the link below. Like I said, today's podcast was a little bit shorter than normal, but also feel free to check out faithandfailures.com. You can find blogs. I wrote one last week called What If. It talks about what if. We all have a what if in our life. We all have doubts in our lives, and that's kind of what spawned it. We all second guess ourselves a lot. And just follow the link below to sign the petition. It's very important to me if you could do that. Also, wherever you listen to my podcast, whether you're watching it on YouTube, whether you're listening to it through the group, click on it. If you can, give a rating and a review. That would mean the world to me. And make sure you subscribe so that every time I put one out, you can see it. All right, guys, I'll see you next month.